Everyone, in this video we continuously work on section 8.1, which is example 4 and example 5. Alright, so example 4 is using a graphing calculator to graph a problem. Okay, so please open your book to page 585 and then prepare your calculator. I know that if you don't have your graphing calculator, please download the app, which is a p.588, or you can use a Desmos website to graph this, so anything you would prefer to do. Okay, so let's start. We have the equation y minus 4 squared equals 8 times x minus 3. So now I want to graph this, but look, I have when you are plugging into calculator, you should give y, not a y squared. So we want you to make y squared into y. Okay, so how do I cancel out my square? You're going to put the square root. Once you put the square root, what should you need to plug in? What should you need to attach that together? Plus or negative, right? So you have a y minus 4 on your left side, equivalent to plus or negative square root of 8 parentheses x minus 3. Now I want to have only y. I want to cancel out minus 4. Add 4 each side. Then your y is going to be plus or negative, which is 4 plus or negative square root of 8 parentheses x minus 3. Alright? So now you're going to, let your y1. You guys have a tab for the y1, y2, keep going. Your y1 is going to be 4 plus radical 8 x minus 3. And your y2 would be 4 minus 8 x minus 3 with the radical. Alright? Now you can graph with the two equations at the same time. Alright, so let me open my graphing calculator, which is a p.588, and let's work with this. Alright, so I click the tab y equals. Okay, so I have to do the graph, so click the graph. I think my calculator's froze now. Okay, alright. One more time. Okay, so y equals. So they starting with the y0, y1 to y2. It doesn't matter. I click the y1 and y2. Now I'm going to plug what I have. So the first one, 4 plus. And you have a square root. 8 parentheses x minus 3. Where is my x? I'm looking for my x. X minus 3. Close it. Now, 4 minus square root of second and the square root, 8 parentheses x green, tap, and then x minus 3. Minus 3, close it. Now, you're going to click the graph, then it will show us the graph. Okay? So now, your graph is going to look like this. When you graph it, it should be exactly connected, but it doesn't. They just have some gap between that. It should not. Okay, if I just zoom in, yeah, still they have some gap between, but it should not. So, you guys make graph to see how your graph looks like. Okay, that opens right. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to go to the number 45 to graph it, to show it here. So let's go back, and then this number 45, you have to do something, right? You need to do the square root first. So page 588, number 45. You have y plus 3 squared 12x minus 2. So first, you need to put the square root each side with the plus or negative. Y plus 3 equals plus or negative square root of 12x minus 2. Now what? Minus 3 each side. You will have y equals minus 3 plus or negative square root of 12x minus 2. So your first y1 would be y equals negative 3 plus square root of 12 times x minus 2. That's your first graph. Now second graph, y2 would be y equals negative 3 minus square root of 12x minus 2. Okay, so I'm going to graph this. Now I'm going to change this number. Delete negative 3. Delete negative 3. Okay. Now I have a 12 instead of 8, so delete 12. And then you can change into the x minus 2 here. Delete 2. Are you guys with me? Now, delete 12, and then I'll change into the minus 2. Delete. Okay? So I changed everything back and graph. And I can see my graph. It still opens right. Okay? Alright, so now we're going to go to the page 586. Example 5. Alright, so in this section, we are going to practice to change the given equation into the standard form of the problem. Okay, so page 586, example 5. So prove that the graph of y squared minus 6x plus 2y plus 13 equals a parabola, which means we have to make sure that we are having the standard equation of parabola. Then you can find the vertex, focus, and directress. All right. So now when I look at it, then which one has a squared? Y has a squared. So now I move everything into the right side except the y terms. So I got a y squared, and then you have a 2y here. Everything here, 6x and 13. It should be moved. Once you moved, add 6x each side, you will get 6x on the right side. Minus 13 each side, you got a minus 13 in there. Okay? Now what? Think about to completing the square. Yeah, that was the, the all the way before that you guys worked on it in the quadratic equation. So now, my goal is to make sure that this y squared plus y into the perfect square format. So how do we do that? Do you remember the step? Number 1, find out your coefficient of your x, which is 2. Second, divide it by 2, which become 1, and squares of it. So 2 divided by 2 squares that become 1. Now what? You are going to add a 1 into each side. So that you got a y squared plus 2y plus 1 equals 6x minus 12. Now what? We're going to make that into the perfect squared form. Y plus 1 squared. You should remember that. Now, you have a same, factors in here. Please pull it out, which is 6. And you got a x minus 2. That is the, form of the parabola, right? So when you look at this, how your parabola looks like, it should be opens to the right. Okay? So now you need to find the vertex, focus, and directress. Okay, I can get my vertex easily. Which one is going to be my vertex? H and K, right? So my vertex here, what was my form? At y minus k squared equals 4p x minus h. That was my original, which is the standard equation of this parabola. Now, I can get my h, which is 2 which is 2, my k, which is negative 1. Okay, so you can get your vertex from here, 2, negative 1. Okay? And now you need to get the p so that you can find your focus and directress. So for p should be equivalent to 6. From that one, I can get my p, which is 3 over 2. Right? So now what should we do? Our focus. What is the formula for the focus? Focus was h. Focus was h plus k p, comma k. So you can just plug in. So my h, I already got it, which is 2, and plus p, 3 over 2, k, negative 1. Now 3 over 2 is what? 1.5. So you got a 3.5. Comma negative 1, or you can leave as a fraction. 7 over 2 comma negative 1 is totally up to you. Now, what is going to be my directress, guys? Directress. Well, what's the formula of the directress? Directress is x equals h minus p. So think about your standard equation of the non-translation. That was x equal negative p. Now we add h in here because that is opens left or right affected onto the horizontal movement. So now my h is 2, and then my p would be 3 over 2, which is a 1.5. So let me just put it as a 1.5. So I got 1.5 here. Then what is going to be my answer? Which is 0.5. Or half. Alright? Okay, so let's work on exercise 49. Okay, page 588, number 49. That's what you need to do. So prove that the graph of the equation is a parabola and find its vertex, focus, and directress. So number 49 is x squared plus 2x minus y plus 3 equals 0. So please pay attention which letter has a square. X. Everything else needs to be moved. So you are going to add y minus 3 each side. Then you're going to have a x squared plus 2x equals y minus 3. Now, what do? Make sure to do the completing the square. So that think about the coefficient of x, which is 2 divided by 2 and squared. It should be added onto the both sides. Same as it's same as the last example what we reviewed. So x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals y minus 3 plus 1. Now it becomes x plus 1, everything squared equals y minus 2. Alright, so actually 4p needs to be in front of the y minus 2. It will be what? 1. So now, look at this. This graph is x has a squared on it. So think about your shape of the graph. It is gonna be opens, left or right, or up or down. It should be opens what? Up or down because x has a squared. Now think about the standard equation of that. X minus h squared equal y minus k, right? So from that one I can get my vertex directly, which is negative 1 and 2. That's my vertex. Now find the p, guys. Here there is one in front of the y minus 2. Does it make sense to you? So, I forgot to put the 4p here. So 4p y minus k. So, now I can say my 4p would be equal to 1. Then my p would be 1 over 4. So think about it. Your focus was 0, comma p. Now that, moved onto it. So in this time, my focus it was a 0, comma 0. Now if I moved my h and k, it would be affected onto 0, minus 1, and then oh no, your p, focus 0, comma p, so 1 over 4. 1 over 4 here. So now what? You had a 1 over 4 here, add a 2 so that you can get your new focus, which is negative 1, comma 2 1/4. Okay? Now what? You need to get your directress from here. So think about your original directress. Since this is opens left or right, your direction needs to be what? Y equals negative p. That was your original directress. That was y equals negative 1 over 4. Since your graph is opens up or down, your new directress is affected by vertical movement, right? So what is your vertical movement? 2. So you need to add 2 on here. Y equals negative 1 over 4 plus k, which is 2. So I got 1 3/4. That is gonna be my directress. Okay? So let me see. Yeah, that's it. So we need to get our vertex, focus, and directress. Alright? I hope this video helped you understand. We're going to see in the next video. Bye.